Let's do Tim, because that's in the title of the video, and I like to cover all the stuff I put in the title so it's not clickbait. Otherwise, I have to change the title. Okay, Tim Pool has another video. This time it's about Newt Gingrich not recognizing Biden as president. And as we all know, the Constitution says Newt Gingrich gets to decide who the president is based on his own whims. He also, of course, continues to say establishment politics is collapsing and war is next. Because Tim Pool's one grift, I guess, is to bait chuds into believing that the Civil War II is just around the corner. So let's see what he has to say.
There have been prominent speakers, political commentators calling for some kind of peaceful divorce in this country. And now we have another high-profile individual saying there are alternate realities here. Something's got to change. Just the other day, I did a segment from...
Yes, it should change by you accepting the reality that Biden won the presidency. Glad we could solve that problem for you, Tim. Time to pack the beanie in and go home.
Cenk Uygur, I was reading an article from him. He's the founder of the Young Turks, co-founder, I believe. And he was saying there are three different versions of reality right now: the establishment, the right, and the left. He was very critical of the populist right. Of course, it's Cenk Uygur. Well, now we have this. Gingrich won't accept Biden as president. Says Democrats, Republicans live in alternative worlds. You are correct, good sir. But Cenk is actually more correct in how he brought it up. It's not Democrats and Republicans. Right now, on Twitter, the number 3 trend is vote them all out. Vote them all out. Republicans and Democrats, and just gone, all of them. You see, you've got regular people, populists, and you've got political establishment. Republicans are the political establishment just as much as the Democrats are. Now, as I showed you earlier on this morning in my other segment, Republicans actually stood up against this psychotic spending bill, this omnibus bill. But my friends, I have some good news. Why? In fact, the Democrats have shown us exactly how Donald Trump can still win. Patriots, listen up. In 2 moves, Trump becomes president for 4 more years. It's very simple. First, Trump must veto the omnibus spending bill. I'm not sure if he can. I think the way it would work is that he would veto it, and then
I think he has vetoed it as of the recording of this video, if I saw correctly. I think he did right before I started the stream. But I don't know if it was a veto-proof majority that voted on it, so I don't know.
Would basically vote again. Now, the amount of people who voted yes on this is a veto-proof majority, so it might just go through no matter. I think
so it's
Trump
not going to matter.
I'm kidding, by the way.
Although, of course, Trump did say he wants to make it a $2,000 individual payment as opposed to the current $600, and the Democrats, including Nancy Pelosi, were like, yeah, let's do that. Which puts Mitch McConnell in an interesting position, so...
The point I'm trying to make is, in this bill is so much garbage and bloat and corruption. Basically, you had a bunch of Congress people just crumpling up garbage and tossing it into the bucket. You see, all that had to happen was for one sly Trump-supporting Republican to write a very simple page: Donald Trump won the November 3rd election.
Really? This is the desperation level we've come to, Tim. We just gotta end the spending bill. We just gotta declare Donald Trump is the winner. Even though that's not how the Constitution says anything works, and if it went to court, it would immediately get thrown out. But we wrote it on a piece of paper and approved the bill, so it's real. Oh my god, this is pathetic, even for Tim.
And this bill certifies him for another 4 years. And then everybody and all these politicians have been like, I support this. I love how, if you watch my earlier segment, AOC and Josh Hawley, Democrat and Republican, being like, this is terrible. This bill is so awful. I vote yay. Great. That's political willpower. But ultimately, I think the bigger concern is when you have both the left and the right saying, vote them all out. What Newt Gingrich is saying is important, but he's missing something more. You see, Newt himself is for a long time, he's been an establishment politician. And with all due respect to him and the likes of any other politician, some are certainly better than others. They're in the machine. They're the establishment. So when Newt is looking at Republicans and Democrats, I got to say, what he's saying should be worrying to you. When we have street-level violence between populist left and populist right, then you have street-level violence between establishment and populist left, which is the cops and the protest and the far left. Now, the other day we saw in Oregon, right-wing groups protesting. There's windows got smashed up. I don't know who did it. Somebody, one of the right-wing protesters.
There was video of it. Did you not see it? Hold on. Hi, kitty. This is crazy. Did you see this? Lockdown protesters, Trump supporters, surprise, surprise, like busted down the door of the Capitol building. I don't remember what state this is. Remember when the right were criticizing and they were like, oh, if we would never destroy property or government property or private property. All these protesters who are destroying property are ridiculous. The right would never do this. He hurt his hand. I also like that he did smash it in enough. Like, the bottom window isn't connected at all. He could get in if he wanted, but I don't think he thought that far. Like, I don't think he's like, oh shit, I actually broke it now. What do I do? Because if I go in there, I'm just gonna get arrested. I've just broken government property. What happens now?
Come on, we have to push! Let's go!
Law and order. Yeah. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous, but I think some of them did get pepper sprayed, but you know. Yeah, pepper sprayed. So much for the party of law and order, huh? I guess it's only law and order when it's black people, but when it's white people who support Trump, then, you know, mob rule is the way to go.
There's a patriot protester, conservative, whatever you want to call him, pepper sprayed the cops. When you have all three factions fighting in a big circle, well, that's worrying. In a big triangle, right? How about that? But then you see people like Newt Gingrich say Democrats and Republicans are alternative worlds. And that means that split has made it to the top of the establishment. When the establishment crumbles, then there's going to be a fight. It could be a political fight. And I think we're there now with like Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. The political fight is then a battle over the remainder of the establishment. That's what we saw with the presidency of Donald Trump. The establishment became weak. The populist right took power and the populist left revolted. The establishment, in panic, sided with the populist left. Now, what
I wish
happens that the establishment is back in control. The populists are bigger, angrier, and more powerful than ever, and they are going to tear things apart. Figuratively. That's why I bring up the vote them all out.
I want to live in the world where Tim thinks that Biden has actually capitulated to the populist left. Can we live in that reality, please?
When the right and the left are in alignment against the establishment's in trouble. And I wonder, on January 6th, Trump supporters, patriots, conservatives, Alex Jones, Jones says 10 million people will be in D.C. on January. Okay. Well, I'm also hearing from people I know who are somewhat politically active, but don't really go out much, saying that they're planning on being there. That, to me, is a sign that I think a lot of people might actually show up. Now, I'm not entirely convinced it's going to be 10 million people, but look, they did an event in D.C. last month or whatever, and it was decently large. It was a couple 100,000 people. This is it. This is Trump's his last electoral stand. I think a lot of people are going to show up. I do. Well, let's read what Newt Gingrich has to say, and then we'll jump back into this omnibus bill, and I'll talk about they jammed into this bill a provision declaring the Belarusian election fraudulent. And that's when I said, clearly, the system is completely broken, and anybody who wanted Trump to win could have made it happen. But this is what we have. The system.
Tim, that's not how it works. You cannot just put a thing in a bill that's like, by the way, President Trump is the president from 2021 to 2024. That's not how that works. The Constitution spells out how the president is elected. Nowhere in there do they say, and you can put it in a bill, and that's how you're going to do it. It's not how it works, believe it or not.
The system in place is broken and corrupted. And you've got people in Congress who are literally voting to approve who knows what. Millions of dollars for Pakistani gender programs. Great. Gingrich says, in an op-ed titled Why I Will Not Accept Joe Biden as President, former House Speaker Gingrich writes that his unwillingness to accept the election results rises from an outrage he says he previously hasn't felt. Gingrich wrote that he'd been asked by a smart friend of mine why he couldn't accept Biden's win over President Trump. Quote, as I thought about it, I realized my anger and fear were not narrowly focused on votes. Gingrich wrote in an op-ed published Monday in the Washington Times. My unwillingness to relax and accept the election grew out of a level of outrage and alienation unlike anything I'd experienced in more than 60 years' involvement in public affairs. Gingrich also said the two parties and liberals and conservatives live in alternative worlds. You have more than 74 million voters who supported President Trump despite everything. And given the election mess, the number could easily be significantly higher. The truth is, tens of millions of Americans are deeply alienated and angry. If Mr. Biden governs from the left, he will almost certainly be forced to. That number will grow rapidly, and we will win a massive election in 2022.
I think they probably will. I think 2022 is going to be an absolute bloodbath for the Democrats because I don't think Biden's going to do anything substantive that's actually going to help people. I think the economy is probably going to tank. Right now, it's already bad. We're on the cusp of a ridiculous evictions crisis because people can't pay their bills. The $600. Oh, there we go, Kitty. Good job. The $600 isn't going to be enough to help people who are already months and months behind on their bills and their rent payments, their mortgage payments, whatever it's going to be. I know on my street, I've even noticed like 4 or 5 houses have gone up for sale in the last like 2 months, which is very, very odd. That's not that many usually. The things are going to go in the absolute trash in the next 6 months. It's going to be really, really, really bad. And Biden's going to get blamed for it. Some of it rightfully so, some of it not. Some of it certainly falls on Donald Trump for his mishandling of the COVID pandemic initially, which is, spiraled out of control to where we are today, where we have to do ridiculous lockdowns because people are still refusing to take even the smallest measures for safety. So these issues are going to really, really hurt the Biden presidency. On top of that, he's a milquetoast centrist, corporatist Dem who's going to do nothing to actually help working class people. Yeah, 2022 is going to be an absolute bloodbath, and I would almost certainly say, I could be wrong, I hope I'm wrong, but I would guess that the Republicans are going to take the House and the Senate in 2022. And then absolutely nothing's going to get done until 2024. Biden will probably be a one-term president. And who knows what kind of populist right-wing Trump-type monster they're going to run for the Republicans in 2024. It could be really, really bad. So it's going to be very interesting. And hey, I could be wrong. I'm not Tim Pool, right? I'm not telling you I know these things are going to happen. Just looking at the landscape right now, that's how it seems like it's going to go to me. And it's going to be an interesting 4 years. If you thought that because Trump is no longer in office, you don't have to pay attention to politics anymore, sorry, that's not how this works. You need to pay attention to them every day for the rest of your life. It's going to be a rough one.
Yes. I believe he's correct about that, assuming chaos doesn't break out. Joe Biden could be our Buchanan, a feckless and weak politician who leads us into the Civil War. Civil War II, I guess, because Buchanan led us into the first one. Biden defeated Trump in the 2020 election. They say,
I don't think there'll be a civil war. I think whenever Tim brings that up, it makes me laugh.
Great, thanks, Hill. I live under a rock, so I didn't know
Sorry,
that.
Kitty.
They say, Trump won the second most popular votes ever. Trump won more votes than any sitting president ever, gaining, what did he gain? Like 12 million votes over 2016. It's unprecedented that Donald Trump was able to gain so many votes and still lose while all down ticket Republicans were winning.
Yeah, people really hate Donald Trump. People really like Donald Trump if they're on the right. People really hate Donald Trump if they're centrist or on the left. Weird how that works out.
And this shows you why Republicans will not accept the results and will not accept Joe Biden as president.
Why? Like, I get it. You guys are really, really hyped for Trump, but he lost. He lost. People hate Donald Trump. I understand you like him a lot. People do not like him, though. Most people do not like him, as we saw in this election. And just because you don't like the results and you don't like that other people don't like Trump the way you do, doesn't mean you get to deny reality. When Newt Gingrich says that the right and the left live in different realities, he's right, but it's not because they're living in, like, polar opposite realities where they're both equally incorrect. It's because the left is living in reality, or at least close to it, and the right is living in loopy fairyland where they think they can just throw out the results of a Democratic election because they don't like how it went. That's not how it works.
They say Gingrich has backed Trump's efforts to challenge the election results, and in the op-ed wrote he does not have any interests in pretending that the current result is legitimate or honorable, calling it a final stroke of a 4-year establishment media power grab. There has been no evidence offered to support that the results of the election were unfair. However, and challenges brought by the Trump campaign and his allies have repeatedly been rejected in court. Rejected, but not denied.
Someone get Timothosaurus stat. Rejected, but not denied. Those words mean very close to the same thing. Those are synonyms. We call those, Tim. We call those synonyms.
What I mean by that is not denied or rejected on the merits.
There have been ones that have been rejected on the merits, though. In Pennsylvania, there have been multiple cases that have been rejected on the merits. Standing was only a thing that was the issue in the Texas case, right? There are Pennsylvania cases and Wisconsin cases that were dropped based on the lack of merit of the accusations being made. We read some of those court cases in this stream. Tim is lying. Surprise!
They say culminating a pair of losses at the Supreme Court that now includes 3 Trump nominees. Yes. But my friends, what do you think happens when 74 million people say no? I made a joke yesterday. I love trolling on Twitter, and I love how dumb so many of these resistance Democrats are. The establishment types. And for some reason, I got to tell you, man, maybe it's a low information thing, but leftists, it's kind of crazy to me. You know, I'll put out a tweet, and they'll just say the dumbest things. So here's what I tweeted. I said, I think it's obvious. 80 million votes proves that Joe Biden was being held back by Barack Obama. Could you imagine if the ticket was Biden-Obama? It would have been bigger than ever.
No, Biden got more votes because people dislike Donald Trump, not because they like Biden. I assume he's just trolling anyway, so it's whatever. Which is still stupid. I find the concept of trolling to be infantile in the first place. He's trying to get a rise out of people. But no, people just voted against Trump. They didn't vote for Biden. I'm sure there were some people who voted for Biden because they genuinely like him. There's a lot of, liberals in the country. But, like, a decent bit of his votes, probably millions and millions of them, were just people who really, really don't like Donald Trump.
Barack Obama getting 69 million votes in 2008. Could you imagine if Joe Biden was on that ticket? It would have been massive. And this is also evidenced by the fact that Donald Trump gained 12 million votes. Imagine if it wasn't a populist like Donald Trump running against Joe Biden. Joe Biden would have clearly won in a massive landslide. Dare I say, Joe Biden is being held back by Barack Obama. And now that he's running on his own, 80 million votes. Obviously, everybody has been begging, and they finally got what they've been asking for, an old white career politician. And so many leftists and establishment Democrats are like, you're so dumb. You really think that? What? Like, are you kidding me, dude?
I intentionally said a stupid thing to get people to call me stupid. You idiots, you fell into my trap. What? What kind of political discourse is this, Tim, you absolute moron?
Man, these people can't understand, social cues, I guess. And maybe it has something to do with the school system, the education system. I don't know, man. But I tell you, these people just don't get it. Anyway, here's my point. What happens when you have Donald Trump? He won, I think, like 62 million votes first time around, and Hillary Clinton won 65 million. But Hillary Clinton didn't win in the right places. Donald Trump gained about 12 million new voters. Now, you can call it Trump.
And Joe Biden got more than that, where it counted, because people really, really don't like Donald Trump. Don't get how he doesn't get that. Do you think Tim really doesn't get that, or do you think Tim is grifting? I mean, the general thing is Tim is grifting, but I'm sure part of it, he really believes the things he's saying sometimes. I'm curious if this is something he really believes, or if it's just part of the grift.
For the past several years,
oh
there have been
God,
prominent
Kitty
speakers,
hit a button
political
and started the
commentators
video
calling
over. Where
for-
were we?
Are you kidding me, dude? Man, these people can't understand, like, you know, social cues, I guess,
We're
and maybe
close
just don't
to
get
this.
it. Anyway, here's my point. What happened? Votes first time around, and Hillary Clinton won 65 million. But Hillary Clinton didn't win in the right places. Donald Trump gained about 12 million new voters. Now, you can call it Trump's fault. You can say Biden didn't really get 80 million. They were votes against Trump, and I think that's fair to a certain degree, so I get it. But it shows you the escalation on both sides is the rising tension of disparate worldviews. Now, I saw something really funny. Jesse Kelly, he's a commentator. He tweeted, a lot of people are talking about wanting a civil war, and they don't understand how bad it will be, you know, having to bury your son in a conference or something like that. And Frank Luntz, the famous pollster, responded with this and he linked to an article from The Federalist. It's time for the United States to divorce before things get dangerous, by Jesse Kelly, April 10th, 2018. Apparently, Frank, you didn't read the title of the article, which is saying we don't want a civil war, which is funny because Jesse Kelly literally tweeted, we don't want a civil war. But we're at that point.
I'm assuming he's saying we should secede or something, which it's like, yeah, saying you're gonna secede is innately a call for war, right? You can't say, we want to peacefully secede. You literally can't secede from the United States. This has been settled. Again, we had a whole war over it.
I gotta tell you, it's crazier and crazier every day. The disparate worldview.
Kitty. She keeps hitting buttons with her butt.
One thing I pointed out yesterday, you have in California a mass exodus, or was this a couple days ago?
Oh, we're on a hype train. Sweet.
There's 844,000 people who have signed a petition calling for a recall of California Governor Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom is an authoritarian crackpot.
844,000 population of California. So there's almost 40 million people in California, and under 1 million have said that they don't like the governor and they want to recall the governor. That's not a lot of people, considering the population of California.
But people are trying to get him recalled. They need another, I think, 800,000 or so, or 700,000 signatures.
They just need to double the amount of signatures. That's difficult to do, but okay.
Trigger a special election. I think it's good they're doing it. I'm not sure it will matter. You know why? At the same time, California is dealing with a mass exodus. People are fleeing the state in greater and greater numbers.
See, Tim says this like it's a good thing for Republicans, and I don't understand why he thinks that. Because if people are fleeing California for a number of reasons, whether they don't like, you know, what's going on in the government, or if they think the property prices are too high, and yeah, property prices in a lot of places in California are crazy ridiculous. But if they go to places like Texas or other places that are typically red states, it's possible a lot of those places are going to start turning purple or blue. Like, you don't want to do that, Tim. Tim, if you have people leaving California, some of those people are going to be Republicans, but some of them aren't going to be. I don't know. It just seems strange to me that he'd be, you know, when Texas has been trending more and more purple year after year, it's getting closer and closer to where it's going to be a swing state sometime in the next 20 years. Specifically for these reasons, where people who are usually from tech centers in, like, California end up moving for work to cities in Texas. Like, that spells bad things for the conservative party in this country. If Texas, especially with our current electoral system, the Electoral College, goes blue or purple, the Republicans are screwed. So whatever. I mean, cheer to hasten that. That's fine, Tim. I just don't think you've thought it through very well.
Interestingly, there's a negative net migration from Americans and a net positive migration from foreign citizens, which means California is becoming less American citizen and more foreign immigrant. These people who are leaving California are the people you need to sign that petition to get Newsom recalled, but they're going to Texas, Idaho, Wyoming, etc. They're getting out. So what happens in 2 years? Well, Newt Gingrich says there's going to be a massive backlash and Republicans will win. I'm not convinced. I'm not entirely convinced. Red states will become redder and blue states will become bluer, and blue states have more congressional seats because denser population around cities. Not every blue state. Not every red state. Okay, obviously. But what happens then when all of the people who are like, yo, I should be allowed to own a gun? What happens when those people are attacked, oppressed, or threatened by Joe Biden's presidency? What happens when...
It's another they're coming for our guns thing. They've been saying this for decades and decades. People still have guns. Trump is the one that banned bump stocks, guys. What are you talking about?
Joe Biden gets what he wants. He wants an assault weapons ban. Something that makes literally no sense. You know, if you've done any research on it, and even doing a cursory glance, I can tell you it makes no sense. I understand the general idea of wanting some kind of gun control measures. That I get. You'd be surprised. In some places, it's insanely easy to get guns. All right? You'd think there would be some kind of reasonable approach that Joe Biden or the Democrats would bring about, but they only bring about absurdity and insanity. They tell you certain things are banned for cosmetic reasons. It makes no sense. So I'll tell you a story. So I recently became a gun owner this year, and I was talking to a gun shop owner about a very famous case where a woman from Pennsylvania apparently didn't realize, even though she was permitted to carry a weapon, that she went into New Jersey. She was going to Atlantic City to go gamble. And when she got pulled over, she did the responsible thing as a responsible law-abiding citizen. And when the officer came up to the window, she said, I just wanted to let you know that I am armed. And he said, okay, you're under arrest for a felony possession or whatever. Why?
Then she wasn't law-abiding, Tim. If she didn't research the gun laws where she was going, and she went in there with a gun illegally, then that's not law-abiding. You're literally saying she broke the law, but she was doing it in a law-abiding way. That doesn't mean what you think it means.
Why would you do this to someone? And that's why people refer to states like New Jersey and a bunch of other states as like the evil seven. Why would you do that to somebody? If you're a cop, you swear an oath to the Constitution, and some bumbling 40-something-year-old woman says, I'm just going to meet the girls to gamble in Atlantic City. And then when you're like, ma'am, you see a gun? Why would you be like, well, I'm going to put this woman in prison for years?
Because we have a thing called rule of law in this country, and if you break the law, you get charged. That's how that works. You can't just do felonies and say, like, well, I'm a white woman. At least that's not how it should work, right? What does the fact that she's an old white lady have to do with anything? It's the law, Tim. Do you think the law should apply differently to different groups of people? You're kind of saying the quiet part out loud here.
That makes no sense.
Batty Bell, thank you for gifting 10 tier 1 subs. I'll get to all the hype train bits once we're done with this video. I know there's a lot of them.
Wouldn't just be like, ma'am, we have a law in this state. You cannot have a concealed weapon. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to escort you back to the bridge, and you need to go back to Pennsylvania because you cannot bring that weapon. What you got to understand about Pennsylvania and New Jersey and New York and New Jersey is that if you live in Philadelphia, New Jersey is basically a suburb. We have no reasonable approach to politics. We have no human approach to politics and justice and law in this country. And that's why I bring this up specifically about the peaceful divorce scenario. When both the populist left and the right want all of Congress gone, we have a problem. And they do. And there's probably a bunch of bumbling non-voters who don't know or don't care, but it doesn't matter. They're not active. They're not the ones who are rising up in the street and actually getting involved. If you abstain from the vote, then I don't think you're a non-participant. I'm not going to say, well, let's see what they think. No. You need to get here and express yourself. But listen, what happens if right now they got rid of every congressperson? That would be a start, I guess. And then we get a whole new wave of people in Congress. And what would they do? Probably the same things. So we have no way to stop this train, which is about to crash into a wall, which is funding things like $10 million for Pakistani gender programs. Take a look at this one from Town Hall.
It's a general funding bill, for those who don't know. The COVID stuff was in there, but it's also a general funding bill for the government, which is why there's a lot of stuff in it.
Here's a few things that are in the bill.
Again, I don't necessarily agree with everything that's in it, but I don't agree with a lot of things that are in funding bills, up to and including the very large defense budget that we have for this country. That's way too big, but whatever. Every time there's a funding bill, Republicans will be like, here's 5 things that we read in this 10,000-page bill that we think are silly.
Climate Security Advisory Council. Let's see, the
yeah, that's important. A climate advisory council would be an important thing.
Invasive species assessments, mitigation, and reductions, $130 million.
Yeah, that's environmental. This isn't a silly one. You guys are supposed to pick out silly ones, not things that are actually important.
That's amazing. Now people are saying this is a COVID bill. It's the omnibus spending bill. But I do think it's fair to call it the COVID bill.
No, it's not. That's in there, but that's not the purpose of the bill. The purpose of the bill is to fund the government. It's a government funding bill. They do this all the time. It's what we've had several shutdowns over.
Because that's their justification for passing the whole thing. They're worried about water resources on the Tibetan Plateau. That's great. It looks like about $1 million for, what is this? Oh, the Tibetan issues. Wonderful, wonderful. Creating a U.S.-India Gandhi King Development Foundation, $30 million. Assistance for Tibetan refugees. I'm actually not too put out by that. You know what I mean? Tibet, China, yeah, they got issues.
It's almost like everyone in the government are working for different purposes and then have different pet projects, things like refugees for Tibet or other things, environmental issues, and then they all get together and they figure out what stuff is going to go in the bill, and then they put it in the bill, and they all sort of go back and forth and why can't I think of the word? Negotiate, and then they pass the bill. Weird how that works. You've described government funding. Good job, Tim. Good job.
The point is, these aren't the worst things I've seen. The $10 million for gender programs. And
we are at 16% of level 5, by the way. Wowzers. This is a really good hype train. Thank you, everyone.
Pakistan certainly is absurd. But the left and the right are both upset about this. The left is upset that the stimulus package isn't enough. But that doesn't work for the people on the right. The left's answer is give everyone more money. The right's answer is open up the economy. If the left and...
That's interesting that he said this probably prior to Donald Trump coming out and saying, you know, make it $2,000. So right now he's against it because the right, Mitch McConnell, have been saying they don't want to do more than $600. But now Trump has come out and said, okay, do $2,000. So has Tim reversed decision on this because Trump said something? Yeah. Trump nukes garbage COVID relief bill from orbit. So now that Donald Trump has said do more, Tim is on the same page and wants to do more. Okay.
The Democrats want to shut
very consistent
down their economies. Fine. They can do it. So long as you allow the red states to do what they want to do as well. And this is where the problem arises. The federal government cannot accurately represent both factions of the culture war as they break apart. That's the establishment. The politicians in Congress, that's the establishment. So they're fumbling, they're falling apart, desperately trying to do something and still doing nothing. I don't think they actually care for the most part. Only a handful of politicians actually said no to this bill. Only 2 Democrats, Rashida Tlaib and Tulsi Gabbard. Good for them. My respect. So what happens then? If we get rid of the federal government, it will go back to the populist battlefront. The left and the right arguing now over what the solution is. Yes, I think Jesse Kelly is correct. Unfortunately, and it's kind of scary, the left wants more government spending, more government control, more government authority. They want everything to be locked down. I had Destiny on the IRL podcast, and he said we need a hard lockdown, a complete and total 2-month stop, and then a stimulus package to make sure everyone gets through that. And I'm like, okay, I understand that. That makes sense. Right now, we have a half-baked approach because we have some partial opening. Some states are open, some are closed.
I agree. It needs to all be shut down, but red states and Republicans refuse to do so. That is the problem, Tim.
And doing half of both isn't working, I guess. Now, we did, for the most part, have a near total shutdown. I don't think it's going to work. So you know what?
No, we didn't. What are you talking about? Stuff was all shut down at different times in different places with different levels of shutting down, and some had mask mandates and some didn't. It's all over the place. That's the problem. We have interstate commerce, and people are constantly traveling all over the country, but they're traveling from different areas with different levels of lockdown or no lockdown at all, so it makes one state's lockdown completely ineffectual because other states are completely open, and they're becoming becoming petri dishes for the virus that then get spread to other states. It needs to all happen at once because we're a country where people travel all throughout the United States all the time. We're one political entity. We need to make decisions on pandemics as one entity at the federal level. You cannot do like one state does this, another state does another thing, because it doesn't work.
You can advocate for that. I'll advocate for reopening the economy and protecting the vulnerable. I'm still in favor of a stimulus package on...
Fuck off, Tim. You don't give a shit about the vulnerable. You want grandma to die for the economy. Fuck you.
Top of that, we can figure it out. But there's the divide from the left and the right. Why should someone in New York City who lives in a concrete cubicle stacked on top of a bunch of other people in a place that smells like sour milk, why should they dictate what someone in West Virginia is doing?
Because more people live there. Why should someone in West Virginia in the middle of bumfuck nowhere next to a dying town whose entire economy is based off fucking coal dictate what actual civilization does, Tim? Fewer people live in West Virginia. Yet we live in a constitutional republic that's government functions via representative democracy. In a democracy, whoever the majority opinion wins. There are fewer of you. You want to rule by, like, minority rule. You want you and your cows in the middle of bumfuck nowhere to be making decisions for people in cities where the actual economy happens. What is wrong with you? And I'm not saying people in the middle of nowhere shouldn't have a say. They should. Everyone deserves the right to have their voice heard. But their voice needs to be heard in proportion to who they are. One person gets one vote. Your voice doesn't get to be louder just because you live in the middle of nowhere with no one else around you. It's like you think New York is one monolithic entity and that should all get one vote, and then you in the middle of bumfuck nowhere should get one vote, and someone in the middle of bumfuck nowhere in the town over should also get one vote, and because there's more land with fewer people on it, you should get more say than somewhere like LA or New York. It's stupid. It's ridiculous.
That's the problem. It doesn't work. Cities have become so insanely different from rural areas, it doesn't make sense anymore. So Joe Biden says assault weapons ban of all online sales of accessories and firearm-related, items, and it's like, well, why does that make sense? Why does it make sense? Look, if you're concerned that someone in, say, Indiana can buy a gun and bring it to Chicago, then get security when people are coming into Illinois. That's your problem, not banning guns across the entire country or banning guns for people in Indiana. That's what Joe Biden wants to do. So here's the big battle. The Democrats want this country, no matter where you are, no matter who you are, to reflect their image. The Republicans want to be left alone, which...
No, they don't! You want to dictate, like... Again, no, you don't. You want to dictate conservative, often Christian policy decisions onto everyone else. You want to ban abortion. You want to ban gay marriage. Maybe not Tim individually, but I'm talking about a lot of the Republican Party as a whole, right? You want to make trans people not exist anymore or legislate them out of the public sphere. Like, no! You can't do that either. Don't act like you just want to be left alone. You fucking don't. It's ridiculous.
Leads us to an untenable situation. Republican politicians doing nothing to stop the Democrats saying this is what must be. If you live in New York City, and you got cops on every corner, and you like your cops, and you're okay with everything they're doing, apparently the left isn't because they protest the cops all the time. But if you vote for this and you support it and you don't want guns, then fine, so be it. That's you. To then have these blue locations vote on behalf of red locations saying you can't have guns makes no sense. Culminating in a very famous tweet where someone said, what if
This is bordering on a sovereign citizen argument. Imagine if everyone else in the world, everyone agrees, right? Like, in the United States, like, oh, you shouldn't chain people up in your basement and hold them hostage. Imagine if someone was in their house and they're like, well, this is my house. Why do all those people out there get to dictate who I chain to my basement? You know what I mean? Because most people agree that that's bad. And we live, Oh, gonna quote the Joker, we live in a society, and as it turns out, when the majority of society thinks something is morally repugnant, or decides that it is adverse to other people or society as a whole, then you make laws forbidding that thing. You don't get to just say, well, why do other people get to dictate what I get to do? Because civilization, that's why. Shut the fuck up, Tim, or else we're gonna ban beanies next, and everyone's gonna have to see the ridiculous shine coming off that dome.
You know, when they wanted to ban assault rifles, it says, what happens if 30 to 50 feral hogs, you know, come onto my property? What do I do? And all of the Democrat leftist types are like, you're so dumb. What are you gonna, 50 hogs? What are you crazy? 50 hogs on your property and you need a gun. Yes, feral hogs are a very serious problem. They're massive, and they go nuts. I lived in a rural area for some time. You know, it's really, I don't want to say it's a red pill moment necessarily. It's not necessarily red pill, but you really do get a better understanding of the political divide. Let me tell you something. I lived in a rural area. Gunshots just went off near my house because I'm in the middle of nowhere right now. I lived in a rural area. Oh, and you know what's really funny? City people don't get it because they freak out when they hear gunshots. Like, don't worry, they're on their property doing whatever. I don't care. Anyway, I lived in a rural area, and I was talking to locals. I remember going to a Trump rally talking to Trump supporters. This was in
Why does Tim think no leftists or left-leaning people ever lived in, like, the country? I grew up in the middle of nowhere. I grew up having, you know, gunshots from people hunting all the time. I understand that. I'm not against gun ownership. If you want to hunt, I don't really care. I don't care if you own guns, Tim. We're not all, like, metropolitan city folk, okay? We just want fucking healthcare.
Florida. And you really start to understand where conservatives are coming from and why they think the things they do. Two things happened. Where I lived, there was a series of home invasions. And some guys apparently broke into someone's house. He was taking a shower or something like that. And when he got out of the shower, he heard a noise. And so he's in his towel, and he goes down the stairs to see what's up, and there's two men, and they look at him, point a gun, and boom, boom, two in his chest. And he died. And everyone heard about it. And it turned out these guys, guess what? Non-citizens, unauthorized immigrants, illegal immigrants.
The crime rate is lower for the immigrant population, including illegal immigrants, than it is for the population of citizens in this country. Tim pointing out an anecdote where a couple of immigrants killed someone is not indicative of the behavior of immigrants as a whole, legal or otherwise. Fucking ridiculous.
It's whatever the PC term is, whatever. And so there you go. Two things that people in the neighborhood started saying. You need to get a gun and protect yourself, and we're concerned about illegal immigration. And then these people show up for a Trump rally, and Trump wins in Florida. People who live in big cities don't see these things and don't hear these stories or just don't care. Maybe they say it doesn't matter if these men are you know, non-citizens, illegally or legally or whatever. Maybe they feel like they could call the police. The problem with where I live down in Florida, we didn't have police. There's like a sheriff maybe. You could call and then they'd be like, we'll be there in 40 minutes. Good luck. Do you have a gun? No. I have more gunshots going off. It's great. At least I know that where I am now, I have a responsibility to myself to take care of my friends, my family, and be responsible. In the city, I understand if you've got cops everywhere. I lived in cities too. It's easy to call the cops. They're there in a minute. When I lived in the Philly area, someone tried to break into my house. Cops were there in a minute. We heard the noise, called the police. They were there. They found the guy. They searched him. Everything was good. Apparently the guy was crazy or whatever, and they let him go or something like that. He came back. The cops showed up a minute later, and that was easy. And even the cops there told me, you know, get a shotgun or something. And I'm like, all right. So you have different situations, and they're different living situations, and they're becoming so. It's much more so much more extreme. That the people in the cities keep voting for things at a nationwide level that don't relate to people who live in rural areas, and vice versa. That's why we've always had state rights. But it seems to be because of the internet, it's all going away. People are now arguing on a national level about what's happening to them locally. And so Republicans won't recognize Biden. Democrats don't recognize Trump. Where do you think this leaves us?
Biden won the election, so it doesn't fucking matter who you recognize, Tim.
Yes. Yeah, okay. I won't say the words. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up over at youtube.com/Timcast. Let me repeat that. The website address is youtube.com/Timcast. I get a lot of messages from people saying, but I'm on the Timcast channel. I didn't say the channel is named Timcast. Don't ask me why YouTube does this. Just type in youtube.com/Timcast, and I have another channel where you can check out my stuff. So anyway, I'll be there at 4. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.
The constant civil war baiting Tim does is ridiculous, and I honestly don't know why YouTube puts up with it. It's not good. Tim's such a jackass. Anyway.